Hey Nerdgenic Nation, and welcome to History Of. I'm your host and resident superhero nerd, Aaron Waller, and this is the series where we do a deep dive into various comic book characters, both heroes and villains, to give a little bit more insight as to who they are and why they do what they do. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about a character that's often forgotten within Marvel Comics, and is actually considered more of Marvel's Superman, and that's the Sentry. Sentry was created by Paul Jenkins and Ja Lee, and first appeared in his own self-titled comic Sentry #1 in 2000. Born Robert Reynolds, Sentry's debut was a bit unique to the Marvel Comics as his origins are largely unknown. In his debut, Robbie Reynolds is an overweight, middle-aged man who is awoken from a nightmare of a returning evil called the Void. But his old addiction habits resurface and he begins to take up drinking again and is convinced he was once a hero called the Sentry. He would recall taking a serum in college and then taking up heroing as the Sentry, essentially the original superhero that would inspire and train countless other heroes to come. It would later be revealed that he had taken a serum that was a variant of the Super Soldier Serum as a junkie in college and would become addicted to the serum that gave him power. He would then go on a journey of self-discovery by revisiting friends like Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, as well as Hulk, Charles Xavier, and Spider-Man, speaking with each one about their encounters together and begging them to remember that he was a hero. Most of them, however, can only vaguely recall him, if at all, with exception to being the Hulk, which Reynolds can only guess is because of his mind and the Gamma allowing him to remember his old friend, as opposed to if he was Bruce Banner and he too would not remember. Reynolds would then return to a forgotten place in the middle of New York called the Watchtower and rediscover a supercomputer inside called Clock, but it too could not access the memories or data recalling what happened. It would then be revealed that Reed Richards had destroyed Sentry's reputation after his supposed death. This would infuriate Sentry, but he would have to refocus on the impending return of the Void in the form of a dark storm, which overtakes Europe and then is on its way to becoming closer to New York, where various heroes and even the world will begin to remember the Sentry and the horrors and damage caused by the Void before its sudden disappearance. Various heroes would reassemble to fight against the return of the Void, only to have the final piece of the mystery be revealed. The Void is the Sentry. In an effort to stop the Sentry, Reed Richards, Doctor Strange, and Clock worked together to transmit a signal to make everyone forget him and thus neutralize the Void. They would have to make a very similar, difficult choice once again in order to save everyone, and thus return Robert to his normal, dormant life in order to save the world. Later, however, Robert's memory would once again return, and he would demand to be put in the S.H.I.E.L.D. prison, the Raft, under the pretense that he had killed his wife. Matt Murdock, Froggy Nelson, Luke Cage, and Spider-Woman would then visit him to find out what happened, only to encounter a prison breakout caused by Carnage. Robert would return to his powered self and fly Carnage into space and rip him in half without saying a word, and then go into hiding. He would eventually be discovered and be informed that he did not in fact kill his wife, that she was still alive, and that the only records of the Sentry were in comic books. Unable to accept this, he would flee but be found by the Avengers, X-Men, S.H.I.E.L.D., and Inhumans, only for him to attack them as the Void. Emma Frost would help Robert return to his Sentry form and join the new Avengers in order to keep an eye on him, but also use his nearly unstoppable abilities. Sentry would go on to battle the Void and struggle with his essentially split personality off and on for quite some time, and even question if he himself was even real. They would once again confront one another, and Sentry would fly them into space and throw the Void into the sun, seemingly destroying him. Sentry would go on to make appearances in all the major story arcs, including Civil War, World War Hulk, Secret Invasion, and Dark Avengers, where Sentry would appear as himself but eventually be taken over by the Void and use as Norman Osborn's killing machine. After battling with many heroes and eventually being defeated, he would plead for his death, and Reynolds would turn back into the Void and was swiftly killed by Thor. Thor would wrap the Sentry's charred corpse into a cape, fly him into space, and drop him off into the sun. He would of course later be brought back to life and eventually merge with the Void, and even later merge with the Silver Surfer. Then, in light of the impending invasion of Earth by Null, the primordial god of darkness who created the symbiotes, the Sentry would be restored to his original form, where he would be recalled to Earth by the Avengers. Sentry would kill a symbiote-controlled Celestial and then grab Null and attempt to fly him into orbit and rip him in half just as he had previously done with Carnage. Instead, however, Null reversed their positions and ripped the Sentry apart before assimilating the Void into himself. Then after this second death, Sentry would become a ghost inhabiting Earth's orbit. Now, Sentry has only ever appeared outside of the comics in video games such as LEGO's Marvel's Avengers, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, and various other mobile games. But it's now rumored that he may even be making his MCU debut in the upcoming Thunderbolts movie, where he could be potentially played by The Walking Dead and Invincible's Steven Yeun, but as of the recording of this video, that's only speculation and not quite yet fully confirmed. Now, in terms of powers and abilities, the Sentry has a wide range of them, however, all of them derive from the serum that he takes. He has super strength and speed, he's invulnerable to almost everything, he can fly, turn invisible, and even shoot a variety of energy blasts among other powers. He's almost as if Superman and Captain America combined, but also had a twisted dark enemy that was essentially themselves. And now for my favorite segment here on History Of, the recommended reading, where I give you a list of comics where you can go and see the Sentry in action and get to know him even better. First up, I'd like to recommend checking out his debut comic, Sentry, which is only about 6 issues long, but in my opinion is also his best story. Next, I would recommend checking out the Sentry Reborn, which takes place after Sentry joins the Avengers and regains his place as a hero once more in the world. This is an absolutely fantastic comic that expands on the Sentry's origin, as well as shows us explicitly what his relationship with those close to him is like, and it also dives deeper into the mental and emotional state of the character. And finally, I would recommend checking out Sentry Man of Two Worlds, which is a 5-issue run that gives an ending to his side character in Old Life, setting him up on a new and completely different path. It's a very important arc for the character and fully redefines him. So those are some of the major things you need to know about the Sentry. Was there anything in this video you may not have known otherwise? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, leave me a comment suggesting any other character you would like to see on this series. Your suggestion just might become next week's video. But also while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future content from me or the rest of the Nerdgenic team, such as like when we go live or post a new video. And also be sure to follow us across all social media platforms at Nerdgenic. That way you don't miss out on any special news, announcements, or articles at nerdgenic.com. But in the meantime, if you want even more video content from us, check out the most recent video right over here, or for more of the History Of characters and playlists, check out the playlist right over here. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, we really do appreciate it, and we hope to see you in the next video.